gotta watch him make my mojito.
That's real good.
Making a mojito for me now. This is made with Brum, which is a beet mash. And that is the spirit that makes this particular mojito.
And that's how you get real crust ice.
Slapping it, spanking it. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
It's beautiful.
Oh, love that. That was real great.
So I'm basically doing a Moscow Mule here. Just our twist on it. My little lime mint.
Okay, so this is the kombucha you're using for this particular drink?
Yes, instead of ginger beer, I'm going to be using kombucha.
Okay, interesting.
It is like a fermented, a fermented living bacteria.
Yum.
It's
But it definitely doubles. If we double it as a ginger beer,
Yeah.
that's what it is. If that's what it tastes
like
like.
if you buy it in the store, you're probably not gonna like it because it's like a very vinegary taste. Ours is fresh and it's local, so it doesn't taste anything like you would buy in the store.
It's 100% unmalted rye flour, and rye flour has one of the lowest diastatic powers, distilling, so it just doesn't have the right enzymes to convert the starches to sugar by itself. So we'll add a concoction of different enzymes throughout the mash to help that, and also help with the viscosity of the rye, because rye is extremely gummy, has a high gluten content. So one of the steps that helps with mashing is raising it up to a high temperature to mash. Break down those starches into sugars. So it's more like a corn mash that way, where you have to cook it high as opposed to cooking it at a lower temp. We'll be adding the flour as slowly as possible, just so it gets to mix in with the water and the other rye grain that goes in there well. If we add it too fast, then it clumps up and it gums up a bit. So.
And how long will this go?
It takes a while to heat up, and so it could take like 8 hours to go through the whole process, because once we heat it up, then we can cool it down and add some more enzymes.
And what's the end product that this will be?
So we use the same recipe for our rye vodka, which is the gin. We take the rye vodka to make the gin. And we also use the same recipe for the whiskey, the rye whiskey. The only difference between the rye vodka and the rye whiskey, different distillation process. With the rye whiskey, we only use this first column here, which is a 4-plate column. That makes it so whatever we distill comes out below 80% alcohol, which is what whiskey has to be by definition. Whereas with the vodka, we use the two 10-plate columns. It runs through both of those. Comes out at 195 proof. So definition of vodka has to be distilled at purity.
Now what about the honey mead?
The honey mead takes about a month to ferment.
So it's a lower proof than a vodka or whiskey?
Yes, yeah, everything's a lower proof of the vodka. You can make vodka out of anything. It just has to be 95% alcohol.
Okay.
So we could turn the honey into a honey vodka,
But it would be a higher proof.
it would be a higher proof. Yeah.
And that's what would determine the fact that it would be considered vodka?
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
There's also a definition that it has to be tasteless and odorless, but people are starting to get away from that. Like what we do is we try to keep some of the intrinsic good flavors in the rye grain, so like the tropical fruity flavor and the peppery notes to it, the natural vanilla that comes in through the grain. But we don't add any of those flavors after the fact. It's just as a result of the fermentation and the yeast that we use for our products.
When you make the gin, do you add the juniper?
Yeah, so we add some of the botanicals into the still and heat it up and let it sit for a while. Also put dry botanicals into the gin basket, which is that stainless steel cylinder right there. And so it's a vapor infusion. So it's like a tea bag of the hot alcohol vapors pass through it and pick up the flavors of the botanicals in the gin basket and then come back down. And so with the gin, we just have to get the vodka, proof down the vodka to about 45% in the still with those botanicals to actually turn it into gin.